What's good, everybody?
What up, everyone? Another episode of JTO Just Talking Online coming to your face. I'm Jerry.
I'm Marcus.
And
we back at it again.
Back at it. How you been this week?
It's been good, man. I've been having some little come-ups. I've been having to do a little more running around, though. It's getting busier out here.
Who's back outside, back in these streets?
You know?
Word. I'm just trying to find the shades. I was like, man, I woke up, like, this feels a little different today. I was like, let me check that weather map. What the hell's going on? It's like 84. I'm like, oh, okay, we're going that way.
Yeah, this is that summer's coming time now.
God, man. This year needs to just end.
This year needs to chill. He's been acting like Mike Tyson.
It's not even halfway over, and I don't even think if it's possible to still be ramping up, I think we are. Like, for real. Like, we got a whole election this year. We didn't want to be this heavy this week. I don't even know why my mind did this as soon as we started recording.
That's because, and you know, I didn't even think about when we were talking about it, but that in itself is a crazy thing. When the news and the Times have so much crazy stuff happen, it actually affects even your ability to think. Because even talking about today, we're talking about getting some subjects off for the cast. We were shooting blanks at one point because it's like, yo, stuff is just crazy right now.
Yeah, because it's not even. We wanted to keep it lighter than everything that's going on now, but it turns out everything is so fucked. There's nothing light happening.
Yeah.
So because everyone, Corona's done.
Yeah, that's
come and gone, maybe. And it's not
semester
done,
break.
Jesus. But then, all the protesting and worldwide, that just is the headline. The second headline is that the police are meeting these people with force.
Yeah.
And it's all terrible. So we wanted to kind of be a
beacon of hope
from that for anyone watching, and then just myself, really. I'm tired, mentally exhausted.
The news of it tires you out. Because the Corona news already was it was kind of depressing me. Then we got to these protests, and it was like I was waking up in a bad mood.
I still am. I don't want to not know what's happening because it's too important. This is actually, I kind of have a subject, but it's gonna feel like I'm attacking you, so I don't want to really do it, but we might.
For lack of a better one, go ahead and fire off.
Yeah. Because we're in the middle of a historic event, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know what's going to come from it, but this is definitely something that will be talked about, 20, 50, 100 years possibly from now, and especially depending on what comes from it. But just the pure disruption of it is historic. The pandemic, and then the level of protesting worldwide, and even one after the other, is wild. And maybe even just some cause and effect there. But I find you interesting in that. This doesn't really have to direct a little bit. So, because you spend a lot of your time reading and looking at historic history, right? Historical events.
Yeah.
What's your span of history that interests you?
It's time periods. I like and I mean it comes from TV stuff like that, like the Viking Age. Okay. I really like that. I like Rome. Even Egypt. The big ones.
The big ones.
Yeah,
So I find it interesting because you read history, you spend a lot of time in history, and I feel like you feel like you're knowledgeable in it, but I don't think you go out of your way, but it almost feels like it sometimes to not know what's happening now, or just the present day culture.
Some of it.
Most of it.
No, some of it's intentional.
Yeah, but I don't. That's weird to me. That's flummoxing, actually, because like it doesn't make sense.
Well, the thing is, like we've talked about how much news is a negative Nelly, just in itself.
No, but okay.
Because
wait,
in terms of
because I guess my thing is like because I thought about this last week. I don't know when it hit me. It was just like wait a minute, because you're 22.
23, yeah,
23,
same thing,
right? 23 years old. In theory, lucky enough, you're gonna grow older. There's gonna be families involved. Might have some little Marcuses running around, and they're gonna be like, "Yeah, what was it like growing up?" You're gonna be like, "I have no fucking idea." Like, and you're gonna be reading their textbooks about the time period right now, like, "Oh shit, that happened," and that's ridiculous.
Yeah, there's a lot of the big stuff I've missed it. It has to get to a certain size for it to even hit me. Like,
but why? Like, you never dove into the side of yourself of why you like history. Because like I didn't like. I grew up not giving really a shit about history, and my evolution with it is that history only started getting interesting to me when I started paying attention to what was happening in the present. Because I was like, oh, the history repeating itself kind of shit, and all the sayings or whatever that come with knowing history, otherwise
doomed to repeat.
And so like once I started being really aware, it's like, oh, shit's happening. It's like, oh, this happened back then, and you start making those connections and whatever. Yeah,
I make those connections with a lot of the things that I see end up happening, but then there's a lot of the other time that I get really emotional about the news, and I don't have that same attachment to history because those are events that are done. That's already finished. It's past. The consequences may still be happening, but the event itself, I don't need to feel anything about it. It's this far back. And for things in the present, I normally end up kind of doing a similar thing, just scaled down. So like after the stuff's already kind of happened, soon after, I'll normally end up finding out about it, seeing all the stuff. But when it's happening, it makes me too upset to act like
okay,
like a composed human in public.
But see, I think that has to be like a gap, right? Because like I understand getting emotional. I'm not even talking about like just bad things.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? You've seen Pulp Fiction, right?
Now.
Yeah. I guess that's my point.
Yeah.
Like even
now.
type shit. Like I'm saying, like it's over. Like I guess that's my thing. It's not really. I get that part. Like I get turning off the news.
Oh, you're talking about just regular content.
You don't know fucking culture. Like
okay.
Like shit that's just happening. Yeah. Like and that's a part of it. Like the serious part of it. But even just to keep it, I guess that's why it's because I can understand if you just cut that out, but you still understood. You know what I'm saying? What's happening in the streets?
Pop culture.
Just culture. Like
a lot of it's pop culture.
Pop culture, but even just the level below that of just culture, you're not playing there either. So that's what I'm saying. Like
I feel like in terms of the regular stuff, I'm all right, but it's like, especially with movies specifically, I'm really bad with movies more so than everything else.
Mm-hmm.
But that's because I didn't consume a lot of them.
Yeah.
Just in general, coming up. And then I started catching up with that. Same thing with music, just less so. Like music, I was listening to, a whole different genre before, but even within that, I wasn't like super exposing myself to music. I was shuffling the albums, not even listening to the albums. You know what I'm saying?
I don't.
Yeah, like, and that's kind of been a progression. Even in terms of in terms of the news, I've been getting a little better at it because not with this protest shit. It's way too much. But
see, I guess that even like, what do you mean? Because I think I know what you mean, but I want you. Yeah.
It's way too much in terms of the police are just doing too much. It's frustrating that, and I end up talking to people about these kinds of things a lot. So like, in terms of this protest, I knew I had to stop when I was talking to someone, one of my friends, and their thoughts on it was essentially that our protesting makes the police brutality all right. And it was like, well, kind of what we got into before. They're protesting the brutality.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just start saying, oh, well, was it the egg or the chicken first? Like, no.
That's just...
We know it was the egg. Quit playing.
Yeah.
Like,
but see, even that...
Like that, some of these discussions...
That statement goes back to what we were talking about before the podcast. You guys just don't know. But like, yeah. It was like an hour of conversation before. But
y'all missed some good content.
We
need to start having precasts.
How do you say it? Fuck! I lost all the thought. It just flew away.
That was that with that breeze. I wish you didn't just say you forgot what you said.
Oh no, forever.
I wish you would have asked that first.
Damn, son, that's crazy. Because it's really gone. Like,
we're talking about the.
Yeah.
Give us a minute. We're gonna get that.
I don't know if we will. But just in general, the damn. Yeah, that's fast.
We're talking about them, not movies, but
well, I guess just stuff in general. Like, I guess I just find it weird.
I was kind of sheltered. For starters, like when I was really young, I was very sheltered, and then I got grounded a lot because while being sheltered, that made me.
No, I mean that's.
Yeah. Until
but like I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I mean I'm catching up essentially.
But even like, damn, what were we talking? It had something to do with last week.
Was it the protests?
Maybe.
What was the conversation? We were talking about the protests last week.
Yeah, I'm trying to get back to the thought.
Yeah,
we were talking to your friend. The friend had a.
Yeah, he was essentially he.
All right, yes. I got back. Okay. So
we made it.
Maybe. Let's get out first. Yeah, it goes back to like what we were talking about in my room earlier, where I was like, yeah, it's not based on anything. That's God. I'm about to move back there.
Yeah,
scared the shit out of me. Yeah, the opinion's not based on anything. Like you just like you said. What did he say? He said the protests are causing the police to be more violent or whatever.
Yeah, and that like, justifies that extra violence. Yeah,
it's the same. Like, how? Like,
yeah, and
it's a very
no. In terms of that, he had an answer. Like,
what is it? Can't be
because a lot of the looting and shit was happening to people that it shouldn't have even been happening to in the first place. He was like, you're protesting for Black Lives Matter while looting black businesses. Then
which black businesses? I mean, I'm sure some got caught up for sure. But like, if you're talking about like that clip of if this is based off like that, because people were putting up weird clips. I saw one clip on it was like a week ago. Like it was this guy standing in the street like, why'd y'all burn down my truck? Like, I'm just trying to make this black man Passion Street. That wasn't from these riots. That was from
years ago.
Huh?
Years ago?
Yeah, the Rodney King shit. So that was back in the 90s. So, and like that was like a super hit. Like I saw it on like Timberland's page.
Yeah.
He's a hip hop producer.
Thank you.
I'm just assuming you don't know who the fuck Timberland is.
You were right.
Jesus Christ. I was being facetious and
yeah.
Oh, see, that's what I'm talking
I've heard.
How the fuck do you not know who Timberland is? Like,
well, I know his name. I've heard him on music, but I've like never seen his face. Like if you pulled his face up, it'd pass.
I don't understand how it's possible. I guess it's like everything I said stands. Like, still makes no sense. Like he did. He did a giant song with Madonna and Justin Timberlake.
I've heard a couple tunes he did.
It was a huge music video. Like these are, again, just moments in time of like, the fuck? How do you not? Timberland has like the best drums in hip hop for like the last 20 years.
I could agree with that based on someone else's opinion that they gave. You know that don't count.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just telling you why you should know, okay. Other than just, keeping your eyes open. But I'm just saying he's like as far as producers go, I would put him like top 5, top 10 most influential producers in hip hop history.
Okay. See, I just learned about Zaytoven like a few weeks ago.
Godfather of trap music.
Yeah, he was. He did a dope interview, and it was on some of his tunes and stuff. I was like, yeah.
That one, I'm from Georgia, so I feel that's like just as high as Timberland, but I can understand someone not knowing Zaytoven before Timberland, even though they're both egregious if you claim hip hop.
Well, see, and that's part of what I was kind of talking about. Like, I wasn't even listening to hip hop for a long time. I had gotten into hip hop gradually, and
but I didn't get into hip hop until I was like 3 years younger than you are right now, though.
Okay.
So,
well, and I'm saying this to say I wasn't, or I guess that might have more to do with it than any of these.
It was a band in my house.
Yeah.
Like my mom's super Christian, nothing but gospel music and Gap Band.
More so than any reason I've gave, I think I could put it to I consume content slow. Like I'm extreme with it, I guess. Like either I binge a whole lot of things or I don't see anything for maybe months, maybe like it could be any kind of crazy amount of time. There was a time when I wasn't seeing anything on TV or anything.
What's happening? Well, I guess all right. We're just gonna dive into markets today. That's really gonna be the subject. This is better. All right, so what do you do? When you're not. So if you're not consuming, you should be producing, right?
I'm still consuming, but I'm not consuming like pop culture. Like I'm not gonna for like a long period of time. I might not see any movies, any TV show. I might not hear new songs.
What are you consuming?
Huh?
What are you consuming?
I might be history. I like animals. Start checking that kind of stuff out. I end up getting into a lot of I like storytelling. So people
you like
that can
storytelling.
Yeah.
But you haven't seen the best stories ever told. Okay. I just want you to hear you say it. Okay. I like storytelling. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
By just learning who Quentin Tarantino is.
Okay, wait. No, that's Timberland.
I love storytelling. Don't get it twisted. I love storytelling, but
Kill Bill is real out here.
Yeah, you don't have to tell me. I know.
Yeah. Tarantino, I knew about him before. Oh Lord, before. Pulp Fiction.
You knew about it before he made Pulp. You knew about Quentin Tarantino before he made Pulp Fiction.
No. I knew about Tarantino before I saw Pulp Fiction.
Okay.
And that's not. Damn it! That is not credit to anything.
No, it's not. I just don't think you ever say these things out loud.
I don't.
I just want you to hear you say what I hear you say.
Yeah, because I said it with my chest.
Yeah, like that mattered. That's crazy.
Yeah,
so I was storytelling.
I do, but I end up watching them, and I mean I watch some of the stuff like I think we were talking about Cthulhu before. Yeah, I've checked out some of that stuff. There's this one they call like SCP, and it's kind of just like a universe somebody made up where these different things are happening. It's kind of like a horror movie built into a YouTube channel. I do some writing myself. We actually talked about that a long time ago.
I don't remember this, but
yeah, we were. The last time we talked about it, it was in the context of making a whole story myself, and I had made some characters. I had started kind of making some events, but normally I just journal write. So like at the end of the day, some self-reflection, a little bit of I have a couple.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, are they full?
I have one that's full.
How often do you journal?
I'm writing like once a day.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're consistent?
Yeah. Because I hit it up in the morning, and then I try to hit it up every night before I crash. That's much less consistent, but that's kind of where the morning comes in.
That's fair. It's still daily. A lot. Okay. And you said outside of that, you've written.
Yeah, no, I've only written. I haven't written out the story. I've made characters. I've given them situations, some directives, but I've been kind of bitch made in terms of actually pulling through on it. Yeah, it's easy to come up with some of this shit. It's hard to.
You're saying it's easy to make an idea, but if you don't execute it, it doesn't mean anything.
That doesn't mean the idea is bad, though.
No, it doesn't mean bad.
Yeah.
It means nothing.
Yo, wait. I am not admitting to. I'm kind of admitting to a lot. Fuck you. Over here making points.
I don't feel like when I talk, enough people are listening to the word I'm saying. But if I can get you to say what I said, I know how to do that. So like, you just gotta get there on your own. I can respect that, I guess. It's more effort for me if I really want to get it across, but I can do it.
Well, and the thing is, and at least in terms of, man, I just lost track of what I was talking about. What were we just on? Last thing I remember was journal writing.
Or you're not writing the stories and having
the
an idea
execution.
and not executing it?
Yeah. The thing for the execution I've noticed, and it's kind of why I've started to lean more in towards doing stuff just for like long periods of time, is because it's hard to do shit regular. And when I say that, like, it's hard to just, for the story, for example, like, I'll sit down, all right, time to make story time, let's make it happen. Yeah. Get the pen, get comfortable. You might get some sketches off, Jimmy, he's been struggling since World War II, things are crazy right now. Then you're like, all right, well, let's start it up. How are we going to start? Sit there thinking, go to fucking sleep, and wake up the next morning like, yeah, I'm going to get back to it.
You will never finish.
I'm going to get back to it. Yeah.
Never happened. No. Starting is always the hardest part of anything. I didn't make that up.
Yeah, no,
that's a thing. But as far as writing goes, yeah. See, that's like you're trying to do too much all at once.
Well, I have the beginning done. I have a whole beginning. It's just that and keep in mind, like, this has taken a long period of time. Like, I've been doing this. The fact you don't even remember this as a conversation should speak to how long ago we had this conversation.
Yeah, that makes it way worse than me.
I'm not defending myself in saying this.
I'm saying.
Yeah,
I'm saying that wasn't a good point.
Yeah.
Or a point the game made earlier. That's way worse.
Yeah, I'm not trying to make this better at all. I'm painting the badness.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm highlighting it.
Yeah, I feel that. I can dig that. Yeah, so and like and that's kind of how I've been solving it more recently though. Like if I'm gonna start writing instead of or even if I'm gonna start studying for the Bitcoin, if I'm gonna do anything, and I know that it's going to be something that's gonna need some extra mind power, I'll be like, all right, well, set this alarm for this time, and if I stop focusing, go do something else, come back, whatever time I left, we're finishing this. And I try to leave it long because I don't want to stop doing it. Like, I don't like to take breaks, I guess, in that. Because I feel like once I walk away from it, start doing something else, I lose it.
Yeah, I think that's my opinion on what I've heard. I feel like, the structure's good, but maybe the goal's not. Because you're trying to finish a story. Or say this would be like a book, a movie, anything but like the sheer definition of a short story, right? That's a lot.
Yeah.
Pages of whatever.
Yeah.
So you should never be sitting down expecting to finish. Like that shouldn't be you just want to be further than you were. And yeah. I think the mindset can stress you out and not doing anything. The reason starting things is the hardest is because people want to just finish it, or they want to think out how to do the whole thing.
Plan it
all out. You
really
just need to know how to do the first step in the multiple steps of getting to the goal. But people try to do 10 things at once and get overwhelmed and then just watch Netflix. Because, you know what I'm saying?
Swear to God.
It's
very real.
And this is nothing to do. This is just
yeah, that's people.
Nature. Yeah. This is just, you can see this. You can walk down the street and see this happen in like 10 minutes. The whole process of like, oh, this is a good idea. Oh, this is what I need to do.
And I want to say, because like sometimes like I've caught myself defending myself when I'm not really in a position to have a defense. And I want to be clear that although I'm doing that, like that's more instinctual. I don't see fault in fucking up in itself. Like it's not. Or I guess a better thing is, I don't see reason to defend yourself most times when you fuck up. Because most of the time, if someone's talking to you about your fuck up, you're at a stage that you can talk about it. If your fuck up's that bad, most people don't want to talk about it. They either want you to leave them alone or they want to exact something on you. It's usually one or the other, depending on your fuck up. But, and I guess this might be a little moral of my own fuck ups and experience, but if someone's willing to talk to you about your fuck ups, you should be open to that conversation and do as much as possible not to defend yourself, because even if you don't agree with what that person's telling you, then you might not be seeing the situation clearly because you're already fucking up, or you might not just be at a point where you're noticing what the other person's saying, in which case you can wake up 3 days later and be like, yo, he had a point.
Yeah, and I think it also, to that point, it matters on, it just helps mostly if it's coming from at least a good place.
For sure.
Because people can point out your shit
and
not really be constructive with it. They're just attacking for the sake excuse me, of doing it because, but I'm sure I come across that way just because I'll get frustrated, like here. But like, I hope it's never lost. That always comes from a place that I just want better for everybody. Really.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's a kind of part of my point.
And I've done some of these things. So I'm like the writing thing, I've been exactly there and then fixed it and shit. So like,
but that's kind of my point. Like, and I guess you said it even better than me, because in that case, you're talking to me about the subject, but you're not just talking at me about what I'm doing. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And if someone's doing that, it's easy to mix those up, especially when the heat comes up. When the heat turns up, it's easy to see one thing as the other. And that's kind of why I was saying it's important, even because even if they don't have good intentions, sometimes the people that don't have good intentions tell you the most truthful shit. Because you're my boy.
Yeah.
Even if you're willing to turn it up, you might not be willing to turn it up to 100. You might be like, yo, that's Marcus, though. We gonna put it on 85. Chill it. We gotta get the point across, but we don't have to burn the house down.
It's interesting though. Out of all the people I do this with, which is just everybody, like it. Well, to a certain extent, whatever. But I feel like I keep a pretty general honesty with everybody.
Yeah.
And then there's like that, like you said, that's filtered through. Can they handle this?
Yeah.
I feel like you're built to handle these criticisms more than most, or more than or more than most of the time, I guess.
And I think that's just because, for one, I think you're telling me the truth. Like, if I thought you were lying to me, I'd be pissed when you said it, because I'd be like, oh, you trying? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's important. And but it's that when someone's telling you something and they're telling you something, or someone's telling you something about yourself, or they're telling you something about themselves, and that that's just open communication. Open communication is always good. Like, yeah. I think that, and I think we've talked about this on the podcast before, you shouldn't avoid conflict. I think that breeds nasty things in itself.
Well, it does. It's like people bottling and shit, and then also not pointing out when someone's doing the same thing over and over again, and they're not getting better for it, and you're just getting madder because they're doing it. So it's bad on everybody.
Yeah.
So, thankfully, I've always been grown in an environment where all my friends talk to each other like this. It's honestly not until coming to the West Coast where I just met a whole softer brand of people.
Well,
me and my friend, we just yell at each other, just like you would. Okay, this is actually a funny story. This a little bit. We're at a bar. We're in Midtown Atlanta, right?
Okay.
Not in Midtown. We're in Buckhead, so north of Atlanta, right? Out for the weekends, me and the boys, Faye, Dubs, maybe Anton's there. But we're out at a bar, and me and Faye had some disagreement or whatever. I ended up getting kicked out of the bar because I was wild. But so we go outside, and I'm like, and we're arguing hard because I'm like, I wasn't wrong, Bouncer was wrong, and he's like, what the fuck? He's trying to calm me down. So I'm pissed, and but he's yelling because so he's yelling at me, and I'm yelling back, and literally these two guys walk by, and one guy's like, I put my money on the black guy. Dude, our beef was done. We turned at them so fast, dude. It was out of a movie. We were like, bro, you can get this too. We both were like, yo, we'll jump over this fence right now and just have a street fight. Because we're still squad. He's had to handle some shit.
Yeah.
But at no point was it coming from he was trying to calm me down. I knew that, but I was it's you know what I mean? But
no, I feel you. And I think that that's less of a West Coast to East Coast thing, and that's more of the relationship you have with the people. Because in saying that, and I also have to preface that I've not been outside of the West Coast.
Yeah, so I bring back the snow.
Yeah, we gotta keep that in mind. But in my experience, a lot of the people that I thought were really soft, they were acting soft because they didn't feel they had that open communication with me, and I think that's a big thing because even for myself, I'm big on open communication, but I'm bad at communicating details. I could be horrible. And I've been noticing it because I've been told. Somebody was like, yo, yeah, when I'm in your face, like it's straight. But like once you leave, like the communication's shit, and I'm like, like, I'm not trying to do this. Like I know you're not trying to, but it's shit. Believe me, it's shit. Like they said shit so many times, yeah. And I'm like, okay, like fuck me. All right. So I've been texting more.
But like even to that one, that's like not a. That's exactly what you're doing, but they just want you to fix it to talk more.
Yeah, exactly.
See what I'm saying? So like you gotta.
And that's still, it's open communication. That's just how they communicate. And I feel like that's also something that's lost in translation a lot. Like earlier you were saying like you say stuff crazy, and it was like I might say that to someone else, and they take that shit and they really run with it and start acting crazy to their damn self. You know?
You just don't say what you mean all the time, or like you leave out. Like the small word in the sentence, but it's a pretty important word, turns out. Like,
I feel that.
Yeah, like the protesting thing earlier, or we didn't, that was before we're rolling. But it was just like, yeah, if the words you said mean this. Like, this is just English. I don't care who's saying it. You, like, well, you were Rush Limbaugh saying these words. This is what this means.
In that specific case, I was saying that because we were already listing things, so I thought that was just pegging onto the list.
I got it. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It was enough spacing where it was like in a vacuum of just a sentence where just like, can't do this.
I know he's not saying this, but is he saying this?
Yeah, I have to check because you are, god damn it. Like, I have to have this conversation. Jesus Christ.
Don't tell me it's one of these days.
So, luckily that wasn't the case. It was just bad wording. And wording matters. Just because. Yeah. Phrasing matters. Now more than ever us, but just on every level.
Yeah.
You see bad phrasing.
Everyone's sensitive right now for a sensible reason. Really.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's on all sides because for the police, people that might support them, they feel attacked. You should. You are. You need to get your act right. But within that, no one wants to feel attacked. Like that's a bad feeling. So then you end up with them having to react to that bad feeling. But this is part of what I'm saying is what makes good communication so good. If you take that feeling of being attacked, and you instead of lash out, you're like, all right, well, listen, this is what I can change, and that assumes you want to make those changes. In this context, you're like, yo, these are things I can change this, but I feel like you're getting at me like this type of way. I'm not feeling that, and that can get solved because. Now you're telling them, problem solved. Chill out without coming off as an asshole.
Yeah, that made me start thinking about something that I want to bring up just to jump back off of. I really don't want to talk about all the protesting stuff for like an hour.
Yeah, I mean,
not even, but like, I don't know, I hadn't had the thought like. It's weird that the police, like what you just said, like, it's kind of strange to me that the police are reacting the way they are because they're almost like, they formed a us versus them thing, right? But there's no other job that does that, right? Like, this is what I was trying to think.
It's no other job that does that, and the other them is people they're permitted to do violence on. That's the key thing. Because a lot of organizations have a us versus them, but none of those organizations...
But not not a us versus them that's bigger than your countryhood. I guess that's what I'm saying. Or your citizenship. Because I guess that's what... I hadn't thought about until... Or not in this context until you said what you said. Because it's kind of like right now you see the protests, and then by the time curfews and shit coming down, the police start going after citizens like they're not just citizens. Like you're only police for however many hours in the day. It's a job, 9 to 5. By 6 o'clock, you're just a person eating dinner. You know what I'm saying? And clothes. You're just another American on these streets. So I guess there's what job. Being a police isn't that fun. It can't be. Well, I guess depending on which. I can see it being fun. That's not alright. That's a bad point. I guess who sticks to a job more than their citizenship? That's the only job that's done. Does that make sense?
I kind of see.
They're attacking U.S. citizens like they're not gonna it's not their neighbors. That's I guess it's almost like you would think the way it is after these protests happen, you would think the police go to a different country and they come in for the beatings. So, you know what I'm saying, or come in just to work. They're not going home next to the person that they just pepper sprayed.
But they're not.
But they are though.
No, that's why they push for. I don't remember how they word it, but they push for as a policy to have police be in the neighborhoods they police, because.
Well, no, I mean I see what you're saying. I'm saying
you're saying in the same country,
same state, same city. It's. I mean, yeah, sure, you're not from this neighborhood, but you're 30 minutes away. You're not a foreign thing. You're still from, and the protests are so big. These are literally, you know what I'm saying? Everyone from, if you're in a major city, I'll bring it back to Atlanta, all right?
Okay.
There's a lot of small neighborhoods around, right? Your suburbs, and then it goes rural further out. All those people are converging in towards the city to protest, right? And so then you bring police forces from the local police forces, and then you got to bring some of the more further out police forces to come in. These are all the same people traveling from the same place to fight each other, and so after that's over, you go home. It's the same. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and
it's a strange.
It's that brotherhood they foster, because I see the same thing for. Oh, I might be out of sound. I see the same thing for MGTOW.
Through what?
The MGTOW. That's the dudes that are basically super anti-feminists.
MGTOW?
Yeah.
I've never heard of it.
MGTOW. It's
okay. They're what?
They're like incels, if you've heard of them.
Just lonely white people.
Basically.
Okay, but that's not a job then.
No, but it's the same thing in the way they foster the brotherhood. They foster a group mentality, and then they're like, okay, listen, if you don't stick in group and behave like the group, then look at all these horrible situations the people in our group go through. This is what you'll go through if you don't act like that. In the case of MGTOW, it's if you don't believe the same stuff we believe, act the same way we act, you're going to have your wife cheat on you. She's going to take your kids. You're going to end up having your house taken.
So what is this, religion?
We can. We've talked about Marvel as a religion, and in this specific, it's based off of just an internet mindset. So you can call it a loose religion if you want, because they follow it like one.
But you see, this not like police at all, though.
But the way it is that the police do the same thing, in that if you don't support us other officers, then these are the things that is going to happen to you, and then we're not going to support you when that time comes.
See, there's a big difference in what you're saying now. Because you're just saying, if these people, what's this really called again?
MGTOW.
MGTOW. If these people are saying, if you don't believe in what we're saying, that these things will happen to you, they don't make those things happen to you. They're just saying these will happen to you.
Yeah,
am I wrong?
Yeah, but what they're saying is, when that happens, you're not going to have your community support in the same way that the police aren't going to make you go kill
all
someone.
These people live near each other?
Nah, they're on the internet. This is some Reddit shit.
I'm talking about people outside.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about it in the context of them being the group. I'm just talking about in terms of how they operate in their group and what makes them.
I'm saying it can't be anywhere near the same.
I think it is, because this is all just group polarization. That's what I boil it down to. That the other one was just an example of it.
No, this is deeper, because it's they're reinforced to do it. Because I guess because they're supported by laws that reinforce this brotherhood or the rules that they're able to govern themselves by. These are just people that feel away, and that's not really. It's not the same at all. I'm not saying it why they're not the same clearly enough, but it's very different. Because then also one's a job, one's just a belief. Yeah, that's where my point started. Like, what other jobs like that? There's not even there's really not.
No, I don't know what kind of job there is like that. Yeah, they do take the beliefs like that though. There are beliefs they take like that. There are beliefs that are based upon that.
Well, I guess they're not reinforced with anything. I guess that's really the biggest.
It's not acted on the same way.
Yeah, there's no, because everyone's allowed to believe what you want. You just can't do whatever you want, except for these people in this job.
Yeah,
and that's where all this conflict is. But more so, it's so us versus them. You would think they were like a foreign entity. Like, that's what's so it's just strange that because they gotta go home, and like, so when you're coming home at night and you're pulling in your driveway, you see the other cars pulling in your driveway and shit, and you're just like, and they're beaten, and you're just like, all right, that was a good day. Like, I don't get, that's a weird thing. Like,
I agree with you.
Like, I don't understand how more. I'm not calling for violence. Just preface, I guess. Nah.
I'm calling for organized violence. If you can organize it, do it. But target that shit.
Well, I guess
police.
But to what end though? Because
I mean, it'd at least be more of an end than what they're doing now. I mean,
no, they'll just kill everybody. They're armed. Like, you can't just be like fight the police. That's why you don't, because they have like. They're militarized, but you know what I'm saying?
You can just pull up at their house, though. You know what I mean?
That's what I was actually about to say. I don't understand how that hasn't happened more. Like, if you know there's police, you know he's with this shit. I guess there's a part of the story that's not happening or not being told. I guess
for sure.
Something has to happen after the protest is over.
I think of the same thing as the way they talk about like serial killers and stuff. They'll be like, you shouldn't give their names or you shouldn't tell certain parts of what they're doing because you don't want to validate them. Like, you don't want to
even more. Like, being a police isn't a secret.
No, but
if you're in a neighborhood, if you moved in, everyone in your neighborhood knows you're a cop.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is if people did pull up on a cop's house, come in and do whatever they did, they don't want to tell the story and then have Ray and his boys at the back of the street like, yo, we could do that too. Like, I know the cop, he lives right there. Let's go.
Well, no, I don't think that's how. No, because that's not. You put it in like a vacuum. If you go into a known cop's house and just assassinate the fuck out of him and kill his dog and all that shit. All right, so the next day,
that whole neighborhood's going down.
Yeah, the next day people are like, "Yo, Johnny didn't report to work. Let's go check on Johnny. Go to his house. Oh, they fucked up his shit. Oh, who did this? Oh, everyone has to go. Now this whole
it's escalation.
But like that would be the fastest. But what I'm saying?
I feel like we've just been escalating. Like, I feel like this is just a boiling over.
But that would be like. It's a different level of escalation.
All at once.
Yeah. So I guess, but I'm not. There's no real point. It
don't need to be.
It just blows my mind that these are people right next to each other after it's over, but you know that. I don't know. It's strange. I guess it's.
What kills me is they get to take off the uniform.
See, I guess that's what I'm saying. Like, and they know that's gonna happen eventually. So, like, what? At the end of the day, what really makes you different from the people that you're beating on, other than your occupation that allows you to beat on them? That's what you know. What I'm saying
nothing really, but it makes you think. Like, you saw the psych experiment where they had some guys act like cops, some guy act like prisoners. And the prison guards throughout the experiment, they got more and more abusive, more and more crazy. And by the end, they were basically like tyrants.
I feel that. But like
But
we can't be in a place where all police see everybody as prisoners. So, like, you know what I'm saying?
But everyone in this context they all knew that this wasn't like.
No, I see. It's just an abuse of power, and that's rampant. But I'm saying, like, it's just even in that scenario, there's a clear division. I go home, you're in a cage. That doesn't give you the right to dehumanize and whatever. But like, there's a real us versus them. Like,
yeah.
These are just people on this. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is literally, if you're in an apartment, these are people all around you. If you're in a house, like.
I understand it's different than these things, but it's the same concepts at work.
It is. It's just I agree. It's just it's so much closer.
It's a lot more fucked up with how it is.
It's a lot less. The division is so razor thin to me, but it's the biggest conflict. You know what I'm saying? Like back to your guards versus prisoners. Like there's big differences. Like. I get how you can get there quicker, right? Convicted murderer, rapist. I know that. I'm not even calling you your name. You're a number. You understand what I'm saying? Like, There's a real dehumanization there, and go for it. There's a huge dehumanization there, and it's not for nothing, even if it's wrong. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I get where the lack of respect coming out the box comes, because it's not even a person that demands respect, really. Like, I mean, humanity, yes, but respect, no, because he's...
For black people specifically, because we do have to keep in mind that police violence is on everybody, especially recently. But yes. For black people specifically, I feel like they've been dehumanizing us since the start. And that has a lot to do with how they got to the same end as they did for the psych experiment.
100%. But like, yeah, I didn't want to bring
just so much closer to home.
But I'm taking the racial component out of it, because every day I see a video of police beating little white kids and women.
See, and I also have a theory that like hip hop and the overall urbanization of culture might also lend to it.
No,
people thinking everybody's just hood rats running around.
But this isn't. That's what I'm saying. This is not. This would be fine if this was like literally scaled on any other level. But this is a billion.
The ultimate scale.
This is everybody. Like everyone in every major city is outside. So this is just hip hop? No, hip hop's massive. It's not.
Well, I'm saying it's all of those things together.
But it's too big. It's beyond that though. It's clearly beyond. It's so obviously beyond that. Like I saw Amish people like with Black Lives Matter. Like there's literally some witches and some shit. Like every demographic is represented in this case.
Yeah, and I was truly only speaking about black people in that.
Yeah, I don't want to, because because we're past that. Like we're not past it, but like that's what started it. But like
are all of these people getting beaten too?
Dude, if you pull up Instagram, just take a giant scroll, I guarantee you within 5 minutes you'll see some white person getting beat by the police in the streets.
Okay.
I mean, like it's on everything. Yeah. Like I guess that's what I'm saying. Like the racial component is why this all started. I'm saying,
but that's gone now.
I'm saying right now, that brought everybody into the streets. Poor, rich, white, Asian, black, and whatever the fuck you want to be. Everyone's protesting. Everyone's like, yo, this is fucked up. And they're beating on everybody. There's a super viral video of a 77-year-old guy that got pushed by the cops.
I saw that one.
Yeah. There's no right. You know what I'm saying? That's just some guy that any of those people would live next to. That's what's straight. Like that's what I'm saying. Like what do they? I get my
There are a few things that I feel like are easy to point to, but none of them capture the sentiment or can capture singularly the whole situation, because it's kind of just deeper than that. But in the terms of deeper than any individual thing, because I mean, in terms of like a lot of these police actions, sometimes I just think it's the group. I think you get in that group, they talk a certain way, you're around them enough time.
Yeah, yes.
That's what.
But I'm saying, like, it's weird. Nothing else. There's nothing else really like this, I guess.
There's not.
Like, the closest would be, like, the military. But we literally send them across oceans to go do what people... Like, it's just weird. Like, yeah. It's just... There's no other job like that. There's no other real... I mean, and then you add to the fact that they're just reinforced with unions and laws that give them this immunity,
and they're not...
And we pay for all of this to happen.
And they're not paid enough to deal with some of the bullshit they have to deal with.
Well, they shouldn't have to deal with all the things that they deal with as far as becoming the police, which 100,000% for. Takes a lot of money away from them so they don't have fucking tanks, but then put that money back into, like, setting up stuff for the homeless or putting in education for the schools, like,
or even training your officers better.
Well, no, but, like, because a police officer shouldn't have to, like, there was a Texas sheriff that put it really well. He was, like, listing, it's like, yeah, everything that happens, people call 911 for. Like, they were like, yeah, this, meaning on to, like, yeah, we have a dog. It was Houston, I think. Houston, Dallas. And he's like, yeah, we have, like, a dog problem. What do? Put the police on. Now we have police officers picking up stray dogs and shit. It's not our job. We're asking our police to do too much. I'm like, I agree with that. They shouldn't be having to do all these things. And that adds to the stress, and they're underpaid to be doing it. And then also the fact that their first priority is keeping the police alive, or keeping your fellow police officer alive. That's not even the first priority for a soldier. It's like leaving a man behind. That's even if it's like a corpse. Like, you know what I'm saying? That doesn't mean that's not the priority. The mission's the priority. And the mission of the police should be
combat crime.
No, it's protect the community. You're not Batman. No. We need just protect the community. Like, you know what I'm saying? All of it. Like, you should be here for us. You're not versus us. You're really our servants. I call you because I pay you. That's how this whole shit works. And I didn't pay for you to buy a tank. Especially not to shoot it at me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I didn't want to go into this whole thing we've done it. So, but like, yeah, it's just, I hadn't really thought about that part of it, that, like, these are just fucking people beating on neighbors, and for whatever reason, through just programming, really, they've detached themselves from U.S. citizenship almost.
Yeah.
And the military, I guess, doesn't even do that. I guess that's really the thing.
Well, no, the military, the military actually does have a program where when they're doing target practice, they still hit, like, kids and civilians and shit to desensitize them to that. So I don't know how far we'd say, but there's to a certain extent. At least when we send them over the ocean.
Yeah.
It's free reign.
Yeah, but I mean, like, not that I'm agreeing with that, but that's also because they're being sent where you have kid suicide bombers and shit. So, like, it's not for
nothing. Definitely.
But, like, we're in America. We don't have kid suicide bombers, and 75-year-old people aren't gonna attack a whole fleet of cops. So why the fuck with them?
Yeah.
Or, like, the people going, like, it's a lot that doesn't make sense, and that culture needs to be just obliterated in every way.
Yeah, America, we're fighting our demons, but our demons seem like they just are so much beefier than everyone else's.
Yeah, I don't know.
We let the slavery thing go too long. Like, that's just one of the things we fucked up. But hey, we yeah, like. Well, I mean, people.
just want to. Before you
hear
say
that
whatever
finish,
you're about to say, I just want you to know that you're arguing on the side of slavery.
Well, no. I'm saying you know people do fucked up shit. So I'm saying like, but almost everyone else finished the slavery joint before we did. Like we took a long time to stop enslaving our people.
I don't know if I want to tell you that still happens.
Yeah, it's still slavery today. I guess out of I don't even want to say civilized.
Like in the U.S., like which amendment is it? Like 21st Amendment. I'm not great at that game, but
me neither.
It's one of the. I think it's one of those amendments, like in the late teens, early 20s, which is like slavery is abolished. This is the amendment that abolished slavery.
Oh, that might be like 15.
But abolishes slavery unless you're fucking incarcerated. Then you're a slave again. And, you can also, jails are full of, our jails are fuller than any other country, the jail population.
Yeah.
And then most of that percentage of people are black people, or offset percentage, So,
you can argue we're still slaves.
Yeah, that's not even an argument. That's all just happening right now.
Yeah.
There's people pressing license plates and all that dumb shit for 2 cents a day. That's slavery.
Yeah, that is slavery.
Yeah. Just communication on the city. I'm not doing the work. Fuck you. So that's just the United States. Other places are just straight slavery. So that happened. So that was my only point. I don't even know what I was going to say anymore.
Oh, we took hella long to get rid of slavery, and your point kind of ended up that we're still doing that shit. Yeah, we never got to the end of that movie.
They never apologized or paid back for doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That was.
I'd be all right with not getting all of that. Like I'd be fine with just no more slavery. Like I would. Like just stop with the ridiculousness.
There's no reason a ghetto that was a ghetto in 1970 should be a ghetto in 2020.
For sure.
But they are.
Oh yeah.
That's why. Disenfranchise people for all of this time. That's what reparations are. Put it into those communities so they aren't fucking ghettos, so people aren't doing less crime.
Word.
That's what that is. It's not. You don't give everybody like $1 million and let them. That's a Chappelle skit. No, reparations is, let's take this money and from these people that are beating everybody, because we've given them too much. That was John Oliver did a thing on this literally 6 years ago. Overfund or militarization of the police is what it's called. We still look it up. It's still applicable and shows you how they're so strapped right now. We paid for it. Is the moral of it. But more so, I'll say again. It's the heat. I feel just enough sweat to be like, fuck that hot.
Summer's coming, but it's trying to sneak up on us.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I forgot what I was saying, but you know what I'm saying, it's cool.
The thing about when you say you forgot what you said is,
yes.
Like once you say you forgot it, it starts just.
Yeah. We just we need to be better.
Give me 1 second. I think I got it. Slavery's still happening now. Yeah. Goddamn.
Oh,
yo.
I don't remember why I said that though. Yo. We can do it in dark shit anyways. I really didn't want this to go this way, but it's unavoidable because it's what's happening.
Yeah, it's just so heavy. It's just so heavy.
Yeah, there's just nothing. Oh wait, you had someone find treasure on your phone.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about that shit.
In other news,
we're talking about slavery in 2020 and we're not talking about the past. That's sad as fuck. I still have to go to shit today. Not cry.
It's crazy because you would think the slavery's in the past, and you would think this treasure hunting's in the past. Neither of them are.
Yeah, we can talk about human progress another day. But.
Yeah.
So, where's this from?
New Mexico.
No, what's your source?
Oh, New York Times.
The New York Times.
Yeah, right. New York Times article. We're checking out this 89-year-old man. A few decades before today, he had buried some treasure, thinking that he was gonna die of kidney cancer.
Damn.
Yeah, and he was kind of just like, yo,
you just had treasure though.
Yeah, he had gold ingots and sapphires.
Shut up.
Yeah, like pirate treasure.
Yeah, treasure.
And his quote was, "I put the treasure out to get families up and moving." Like, god damn. So he puts up the treasure. He puts hints in a poetry book he wrote to find it.
Was this book just for his family, or
it was a published book. Yeah. Right, and dude finds it. I want to say 30 years later because they say a few decades. Could be any number of decades. Let's use 30. 30 years later, he comes out. He finds the book. He reads the book. He finds the clues. He finds the treasure, and they put it on the news while hiding the real location. Sounds like it's gonna be another treasure hunt, guys. If you live in New Mexico.
Wait, what do you mean? Why?
Well, if they're hiding the location of where he found that first one and he already has it, it sounds like they're willing to do it again.
Oh no, I think that's just like. Oh wait, did they say who the guy was?
Yeah, I didn't actually remember. Forrest Fenn was the one that buried the treasure.
Oh no, we found that.
Oh, okay. I gotta go a little further down.
I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't have his name, right? Because that's my point.
Yeah, it was.
That's like lottery winners. Like you have that option, and my option would always be no. Why the fuck would you want to just tell everybody? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
So if I found the treasure, I'd be like, yo, you can definitely prove this treasure was found. That's hard. You can take a picture of it. You're not getting me.
A man who did not want to be named found the chest.
No fool. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's exactly. So that's why.
Yeah.
Because he's not stupid. Yeah, that's exactly how that would happen. It's like, yeah, I'm gotta call somebody. Be like, yo, I found a treasure. Once you get here, you're not printing my name. You can take a picture of it. I'm not part of it. Undisclosed location. You know what I'm saying?
This is treasure. This is treasure hunting 102. 101 is the treasure hunting in the movies. This is after the movie.
Oh yeah, like unless you're gonna, because if you do that, otherwise you gotta like donate it or some shit. Like a museum, that's...
You can get some tax-free.
Bullshit. Bullshit.
Yeah,
yeah, like even like National Treasure, like that bothered me. Where I'm like, I get it. Like, this is Disney and shit. And even they ended up keeping like 1% or whatever and it's still enough to buy that. Fuck that shit. I would be shitting on Jeff Bezos.
Call me Rockefeller, motherfucker.
Man, you call me a Saudi prince, son. I'm Drake.
Call me Drake.
Oh my god, I drip so hard. Man, it'd be bad.
Yeah.
So I would love to find. Man, let me find treasure.
Yeah, that's the craziest thing.
Old school stuff.
Let me just find out we're still treasure hunting around here.
Yeah, how do you know? Did it say if he knew? How do you read the book? How do you get the?
It doesn't say how he got the book. It just says
that's like, how did you? Is this just some poet reading motherfucker? And he's just like...
I swear I was thinking the same thing. Like, maybe motherfuckers that are doing poetry just living a whole different life. Like,
for real. Like, is he just an avid poetry reader and you just came across and was like, oh, wait a minute. This means something. And just followed it?
Nicolas Cage.
That's unreal.
Nicolas Cage tap danced all the way to the treasure.
It's like, that's wild, yo. That's wild. Because, like, I see, I've seen, I don't know if they're still currently going on, but I've seen treasure hunts on the internet where for like Bitcoin in particular, where like I remember there was one. It was like a picture, right? And in this picture, you could find clues and code and whatever. And eventually, all the clues will lead you to like a wallet address, or like to a password for a wallet address, because you already know everyone has a wallet address. And you can see that there's a Bitcoin there.
Yeah.
And so the treasure hunt was to find the secret keys, so you could access the wallet and just take the money out. So that's happened at least twice that I've seen on the internet in the last like 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
But those shits are hard. Like I was looking at it and like just wish I knew how to begin, because like it's just geniuses fucking with other geniuses like to play games, which I respect, but like God damn.
Goddamn, I want to join.
Yeah, I gotta learn a whole different shit just to even maybe figure out what you're saying. Like, it's a lot.
He makes the poetry book. It's 24 cryptic verses that are all hints on how to find the treasure, and he names it "The Thrill of the Chase."
Shut up! I want to read the book now. Like, I know I won't get to the treasure, but this is
The Thrill of the Chase.
Yo, someone did this?
Yeah, like, this is real.
That's so tight.
He was an Air Force pilot.
Yo, shout out. What's his name? This is a legend. This
Forrest Fenn.
Forrest Fenn. Salute to you for keeping dreams alive. That makes me want to go get treasure and then go bury it, and then it had the intended effect. Makes you want to get up and go do shit. That is wow. Legend. Fuck, man. How are we not talking about this for an hour? That is the shit. Like, I want to know where he's buried and give him like flowers on his grave. Like,
we pass over all the real heroes.
No, for real. Not all heroes wear capes, and some are dying. Still being great. What have you done today?
Oh, he passed the kidney cancer.
Well,
he made it too.
Huh?
He made it too. He beat kidney cancer. He beat it.
He's alive.
Yeah, he's alive right now at 89.
Wait.
He's 89 right now.
Let's recap. Because this has made my day better. Like, I needed some more of that thought. So, man is diagnosed with kidney cancer. Kidney
cancer, yep.
He's like, fuck. I got all this treasure.
For some reason.
I'm going to bury it. I'm going to write a book that's all a poetry. Not just because he could have just wrote some story. He could have just wrote some. He's like, I'm a poet. This shit. Because that means
he had to sit down and really make it out.
He's dying. That means he's going through chemotherapy and shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? On some hard drugs to kill something that's killing you. Yeah. And you're writing poetry with hints for treasure. And you had to bury the treasure. And you had to. Yeah, and he got the book published, which, whatever. It's probably not the hardest part of the whole equation, but, like, still had to do it.
Yeah.
And he beats kidney cancer and doesn't go dig his treasure. He keeps the legend going. This is all-time hero right here. This is 80. He's still alive.
Yeah.
It's like, people... where's this guy?
30 years. This is New Mexico.
You might have to make a road trip. I want to meet this guy.
Yo,
Just hope he's not just wildly racist. But
that's.
it's always a possibility, but I think I would grit through it.
Yeah.
I have questions.
I don't even think he'd be racist considering how much work he put in right there.
Yeah. Like, I can't. I don't even know why I default. Well, he's also old, actually. That's why.
Old people do default it racist a little. Just a little.
I'm not even mad with a lot. I just have questions. Like,
yeah.
I'm not even. I just want to see you. Like, that's hard.
Yeah.
I strive to do something that's fun for someone.
I feel that.
You know what I'm saying? That's because you gotta acquire treasure. You gotta do that over life. You gotta get all your treasure. You gotta find a chest. I had a treasure chest in my life. No treasure, but in college we did have a treasure chest. We just put like shit in it.
I feel that.
So you gotta get a chest for the treasure. You gotta bury it. Then you gotta make clever ass clues. I hope the clues were clever.
I assume they are, considering they came in a poetry book. Like, it's hard not to feel like they were clever.
Unless they're just bad poems.
Yeah, you know.
It's just not rhyming.
But it took almost 30 years for somebody to find it, so.
Also, that, I think, I wonder if how many people read the book.
That's a really good question.
That's also my whole point of how do you find this book?
Yeah.
Like, this had to be some poet reading person who's just like, I want all of it.
Yeah. In the library. Like,
that was the first impressive part of it. It was like, unless this guy told you that he wrote a book full of treasure ideas, how the fuck do you know? And even if you knew, was that like the foreword on it? Was like, yo, I've compiled this book of poetry in my dying days that will lead you to a treasure. If you cannot find it, like, did it say that up front, or was he just reading it? Like, I think this points something. Like, that story is crazy.
I want to buy the book. No shit.
Yeah,
that might happen this week for real.
No, this is a little picture of Forrest, I think.
Oh, the thrill of the hunt.
Yeah, this stuff is nuts.
Is that? Yeah, someone found it.
It is.
Legend.
Craziness.
Yeah. Forrest Fenn.
I'll pull it all the way up to your camera. Meet camera.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, man. That's so dope.
Meet camera.
That's just crazy. You know, like, I know right. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, this is. Oh, right. There you go. They got it. Yeah. Forrest Flint.
Just a good movie.
I want to see the thrill of the hunt.
Yeah.
I'm going to look that up on Amazon.
Oh, I almost fell.
See what's popping.
Yeah, I'm sure it's worth it considering that.
Does he have a brother that's also into burying shit? I want to find treasure. Because it makes me
want to do real treasure hunts. Like,
I honestly
was good in San Diego.
The closest I've been. We can assume we're actually almost there. But I don't know if you remember when we lived out at the penthouse on the beach.
Okay.
There was you remember the boat that crashed on the beach?
Nah, was I there that early?
I don't know. I feel like it.
Was that also when all the huge rocks were washed up?
It was before that.
Before that?
Because it was like a little period there where a seal washed up, and that was like, ugh.
I remember a seal. I don't remember a
ship. Yeah, it was not a ship, a boat.
Oh, okay.
Not like it was a little boat, right? Like maybe the size of bigger than the size of this couch, long and whatever. And I remember because we had been watching it because it was just floating on the ocean for a while, and it was like coming in closer. Just like, oh, no one's steering that shit, and it fucking landed it finally landed on the beach, like right down, like we're looking at the balconies right there, and I don't know what the hell was going on. But I never went and checked out the boat. And I've never been. I have few regrets. Because, I don't know, either way. That one probably saved me. Because it turns out the little boat was full of drugs. Because literally the next day, like, some people came. And then, like, a lot of people came. And then the whole shit was just, like, torn apart. Like, it was just, they stripped the fuck out of it. And I was just like, I can't believe a fucking ship. I can't believe I moved to the beach. Like, saw the boat floating in. It crashes not even 100 yards from where I sleep. Like, and I didn't even... Like, it's the most anti-adventurous thing I've ever done. Like, it's against everything I've done before. Yeah, it was so... I need treasure in my life because I missed out. That was it. But it's probably for the best because if it was full of drugs and I just had all these drugs and I got to sell drugs, now I got to become a cartel leader. Slippery slope.
It's a slippery.
It's
more slippery if whoever's drugs it was comes looking.
I thought about that too.
Yeah.
But I think that's why they just destroy everything.
Like, I heard you live 100 yards from where I drop my drugs.
Oh, yeah, they would like. I
got some questions.
I don't know how I would have done it, but I don't know. But whatever. So my point is, I want to find treasure.
Yeah, no, I like those kind of stories. I like those.
It's the best kind of stories.
Yeah, it's the best kind.
Like, damn, in these times, just find treasure. It's the best time to find treasure.
And I also like the way that it came up because I feel like that's something that happens often. Like when it's all this like fucked up shit happening, there's always like that one little thing that it's really great. Like it's really great. It's usually just one. You gotta do some looking for it, but it's there.
Yeah, that's a good one. There was just literally nothing else popping. But that wasn't even popping. But like, that's hard.
The whole point of it was not popping. This small book in New Mexico.
Yeah,
ain't nobody looking for that.
I'm following that up for sure. Yeah, it's incredible. Okay, well, that worked out. That saved us from.
And here we thought this was going to be a 20-minute podcast, guys.
Yeah, I just wasn't trying to get into all of it, but I think we did it well. It was a successful pod.
Yeah. Another one. That's 28, y'all.
For sure.
Put them in front of us.
We'll see you guys next week. Hopefully, whatever. There's no end to that sentence.
Hopefully you find something that's your one good thing too.
Yeah. And for in the I was about to say
Forrest Flynn.
Yeah, it's still alive. In respect to Forrest Flynn,